open were the lawmakers to hearing your viewpoints on perhaps the lack of decent regulation and fostering innovation in the US in this perspective?
Thanks, Caroline. Well, I think there was certainly openness to learning. I think the increased global awareness of this asset class, the movement of very significant scale internet companies into the market is bringing a lot more attention, both from regulators and from policymakers and lawmakers. And so in general, I think I saw a readiness to learn. I think there was very real discussion around, is the U.S. missing out on innovation in this sector? Are there policies that we need to think about developing to more clearly define regulations in the sector? And so, overall, I think, positive, and it's very encouraging just to have lawmaker attention on a critical issue like this.
Jeremy, did you get a sense at all as to whether lawmakers may be prepared anytime soon to move forward on some type of legislation that would provide a little bit more clarity to the legal structure of the sort of blockchain crypto space?
Thanks, Romaine. Yeah, I think we are seeing building interest in legislative initiatives that can better define digital tokens or digital assets. We've seen the Token Taxonomy Act be put forward in the House. Hopefully we'll see that also sponsored in the Senate. But I think things like stable coins or stable value tokens like US dollar coin and Libra, the increasing proliferation of digital asset projects outside the US, the movement of companies to leave the US and projects to get started outside the US is definitely getting people's attention, and I think is going to lead to ultimately legislative initiatives that try and both ensure that there are appropriate safeguards for investor protections, but also clarity, which is much needed to allow the technology and industry to flourish.
It really has been the putting forward of a white paper on Libra by Facebook, their own stable coin, that has fostered quite so much regulatory interest, certainly from Capitol Hill's perspective. You already, as you mentioned, you have USDC, you have your own stable coin, which you launched in tandem with Coinbase. Talk to us about is Libra a competitor to you in some way? How do you see Libra's coming into the market, and how do you think it will seismically change things?
Well, so we're very much believers in the idea that you can take central bank money and create digital currency versions of it that work at the speed of the internet, work with very high levels of security and privacy at incredible efficiency. We think that's a breakthrough for the global financial system. When you build other types of financial contracts or smart contracts around that, it starts to open up really, really exciting possibilities for economic development. And so generally, we're very supportive of that, and we've been an innovator in that arena. I think when you look at Libra specifically, it may be going after a slightly different problem space, which is sort of cross-border payments in emerging markets. At least at face value, that's a little bit of what the focus seems to be. Our belief, at least in the coming 2, 3, 4 years, is that a lot of people are going to want to have the benefits of cryptocurrency with their existing reserve currencies like dollars or euros or yen and the like. And so I think that's really the approach that we've taken, which is to say we have these reserve currencies. We don't necessarily need to move to a new global currency unit of account in order to get the benefits of this. In the future, that is certainly also potentially interesting. But for now, I think our focus, and I think we'll see support from governments for central bank money that operates on top of these digital currency systems.
All right, so there is a global nature, though, to just the whole crypto space as a whole. So do you think that we'll actually have that sort of global coordination outside the U.S., where all these nations are going to come together and create some sort of consistent system of regulation, or are you going to have to deal with sort of just a hodgepodge of laws and regulations around the world?
Well, I think as one of the panelists in the testimony to the Senate Banking Committee today discussed, there is a hodgepodge of approaches to this all around the world. I think but it is inherently global, right? So whether it's private monies that are decentralized like Bitcoin, or private monies that have a scheme around them like a Libra at another end of the spectrum, and digital assets more broadly, they exist on the internet. They exist everywhere that the internet exists. If you have software connected to the internet, you can participate with these things. So that does create very, very unique challenges, and it also creates a lot of opportunities. So ultimately, yes, we think that there will be G20 policy coordination on these issues. Certainly, you're already seeing indications of that at the G7 level, the Financial Stability Board, and then most recently, the Financial Action Task Force, which is the supranational body that looks after international anti-money laundering issues and financial crime issues, sort of building standards that all 190 countries are expected to adhere to.